Good evening, members and guests, and we appreciate everyone being here this evening. We have a gentleman that will give us great information about our community. I think I gave out, most of you have a copy of a complete bio on Mr. Gregg Gothreaux. Well, we're very, very happy this gentleman was able to come because he's a busy, busy guy, believe me. I couldn't even talk with him. I had to talk to his secretary, but we ended up finally getting the information right. But that's how busy the guy is. This is a short bio, as he's given us two to look at. Gregg began his career as an economic developer with the Gulf State Utilities in Lake Charles in 1980. In July 1995, Gregg was appointed President and CEO of the Lafayette Economic Development Authority. In his nearly 20 years as a leader, Gregg has contributed substantially to the economic growth and stability of Lafayette through the organization's role in retaining and attracting some of the area's most influential businesses. Gregg serves on the board of several organizations such as Regents Bank, Regional Advisory Board, Lafayette Central Park, Inc., Southern Economic Development Council, and Acadiana Economic Development Council. Gregg and his wife, Alicia, enjoys their job as parents to son. It's Connor Thomas and daughter Alicia Grace. In addition to his hard work throughout the community, Gregg is proud to be recognized as certified Louisiana Master Gardener, and we appreciate that. That's part of it. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Some copies of the slides. As I recall, last year I didn't use the slide projector, and we only had about 8 or 10 people, so I brought about 10 copies of the slides, although the slides don't have all the information that I'm going to lay out for you. I'm going to take a few minutes to talk about our economy, and happy to ask any questions along the way. It's particularly gratifying to be able to come here again this year. I think I've been speaking to the concerned Citizens for Good Government since you were meeting across town many, many years ago. It's also gratifying to have all these candidates here. I got to tell you, folks, I know a lot of elected officials, worked with a lot of elected officials over the years, and it's not an easy job, and it's pretty much thankless. And so I appreciate you all willing to take that chance and try to help this community. I think it's important that good people run and serve. And come on in. And I am particularly happy to see such an interesting school board race. I think it's obvious that we've got work to do, and it's important that we somehow or another, it's my one statement on the issue, by the way, in case somebody wanted to ask any questions, somehow or another we band together and present a unified front. From an economic development standpoint, it is important to understand that education is one of the most important issues that companies deal with, obviously both existing and those that look to come here when they want to grow particularly, but just to survive. And so therefore, I think it's very important that come next year at this time, we have a unified front for our community, because we seem to be able to discuss things in a civil manner in most of our community, and it reflects well, even disagreement, it reflects well upon us. And we need to restore that civility to our future, to the future of our children, as an example to them and to those companies that want to do business here. So I commend you for running, and I commend you for being here tonight. I know you've given up a lot of time. We appreciate you. You know, we always start a presentation with a little good news, and there's not been a shortage of good news for many years now in Lafayette. So I've got a few rankings and interesting things that have come out in 2014. the National Bureau of Economic Research in July of 2014 said that Lafayette residents are the happiest in the United States. According to a study published by the National Bureau of Economic Research, researchers measured the life satisfaction of each city's residents based on data collected from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention survey and ranked the cities after adjusting the results for age, race, sex, and other research-backed factors that influence happiness levels. And Lafayette, Louisiana came out as the happiest city in the United States. That's quite remarkable when you think about that. I mean, there's a lot of cities in the United States, but I think that attitude is everything, right? Yes. Industrial boomtown. Lafayette ranks as the 8th best manufacturing city in the United States, an analysis completed by New Geography for Forbes magazine in June 2014. Lafayette moved up 14 spots from its 2013 ranking. Lafayette is also the #1 mid-sized metro area in the nation, up 2 spots from 2013. I guess we were #3 at the time. And local manufacturing employment grew 7.4% between 2012 and 2013. So that indeed is good news. You know, manufacturing is very important to create wealth, not just spread wealth around, but to create it. And manufacturing is one of those building blocks of wealth creation. So we're #1 mid-sized city for manufacturing, #8 city in the United States overall. In case you're wondering, there are 3,200 counties, about 13,000 communities, and so our competition is significant. Leading locations. According to Area Development Magazine in May 2014, Lafayette was ranked as the fifth best mid-sized city in the nation, the 7th best southern city in Area Development's 2014 leading locations list for economic and job growth. Overall, Lafayette ranked 17th among the 379 metropolitan areas surveyed for the list. The rankings are based on 21 economic and workforce indicators. So 21 indicators crunched, and we come out 5th best mid-sized city in the United States and 7th best southern city and 17th overall in the United States. Congratulations on that. Forbes April 2014 says Lafayette ranked as the 27th best overall city in the 2014 Best Cities for Jobs list. Lafayette ranked 5th in mid-sized communities, those with 150 to 450,000 non-farm jobs. This is up 1 spot from 2013. Job growth in Lafayette between 2008 and 2013 was 5.9%. The index is calculated from recent growth trends, short-term growth, mid-term growth, long-term momentum. Also good news on the job growth front. And then finally, according to Southern Business and Development Magazine, top 10 in the South, Lafayette was named one of the top 10 shining examples of economic development in the South by Southern Business and Development Magazine, which is an Atlanta publication. New business announcements for Freeport McMoran, New Park Resources, Bell Helicopter, illustrate the community-wide economic development approach that's in place for Lafayette. And that was before the most recent announcements. So all those good news have been released in 2014. They're new numbers. They show that nationally, as a community, we rank very well. We're in the top 25 or 30 in almost every positive indicator, whether it be happiness, or job creation, or manufacturing growth, etc. And I think that's very impressive. So let's get on to a few statistics that might also paint a little picture. Retail sales. You know, last year we had a 5.3% increase over the year before in total retail sales, and crossed the $6 billion mark in retail sales for the first time in the history of our community. If you think back, we were at about $4 billion in 2004, so that's a significant growth. Following the Hurricane Katrina and Rita years, we had about a 30% growth in retail sales. During the recession, that leveled off and even dropped a couple of months here and there. The rebound starting in 2011 for us has been significant. And we now top the $6 billion mark in retail sales, as I said, over a 5% increase from the year before. Altogether, retail sales in the last, I'm trying to remember the date, I did it, I think 10 years, maybe around 10 years, has grown over 70%, something close to 75% growth in retail sales. So pretty impressive growth there. Through June of this year, retail sales has totaled $3.1 billion, and that's up 4.7% above last year's record year growth. The highest June on record was this June at $565 million. We had four $500+ million months so far, and dating back in 2012, we had never had a month other than December get over $500 million in retail sales. With 6 months of sales recorded, our forecasting model shows that we're on track to exceed 2013's record-setting sales numbers. So we should be something above $6 billion in retail sales again this year, theoretically a few percentage points above last year. Employment. Only 3 ways to create wealth: dig it up, think it up, build it up. Dig it up, oil and gas activity, farming, mining, if there's any of that here. And think it up, well, that is software development, art, those unique physicians and engineers and attorneys that launch businesses here based on their thought, and you know examples all around you. So you've got some great creative minds here, and it shows. And build it up. Construction and manufacturing are in the build it up area. Those are only 3 ways to create wealth. And you can add value to wealth. That's those multipliers that people talk about. And healthcare, our largest industry, has a great multiplier because of high value-added jobs. And so when you look at it, though, the difference between us and everybody else over the last 15 to 20 years now, why our economy has done so well, why we survived an oil moratorium, why we survived the recession in much better fashion than most in the country, is because of that combination of wealth creation. 25.1% of our workforce is employed creating wealth, whereas only 18% of Louisiana's population is employed creating wealth, and only 15.5% of the U.S. population is employed creating wealth. That 10% between us and the rest of the country is really the difference in our economy and most everybody else's over the last 15, 20 years. And so that's really good news. If you add healthcare, one of the highest value-added multipliers to it, 39.4% of our parish workforce is employed in either creating wealth or in a very, very high value-added healthcare situation. Almost 40% of the people working out there are working in very good jobs. And that'll manifest itself in a couple of numbers that I'm going to give you in a minute. But I will say, Lafayette is a greener pasture. We grow up, right, looking for the greener pasture. Lafayette's a greener pasture. And because of some of the recent success, I'm encouraged more than ever about the future of our community and the future of our workforce and our young people being able to stay home and work here. Unemployment. Unemployment for Lafayette Parish is the third lowest in the state. It always takes a little spike in the fall, I'm not sure why. It's at 4.9% right now. Acadiana's unemployment rate is 6%, 6.01. Louisiana's unemployment rate 6.4, U.S. unemployment rate 6.3. So we're well below the state and national average. As I mentioned, the lowest unemployment rate in the state, third lowest in the state. Earlier this year, we had the third or fourth lowest unemployment rate in the United States. Then we jumped to 16th, and we're still probably in the top 50 unemployment rates in the country. Folks up in North Dakota and places like that are seeing very low unemployment because of the shale plays. Down in South Texas, areas of Pennsylvania, anywhere there's a shale play going on, there's not enough workers. So it's very interesting. Per capita income. Lafayette Parish is in the top 9% of all counties in the United States in per capita income. Every man, woman, and child in Lafayette Parish makes $50,546. That's a 7.4% increase over previous year. We rank, as I mentioned, we're top 9% of all counties in the United States. We rank 295th out of 3,113 counties in per capita income. In case you're wondering how we measure up against the rest, Lafayette, 50,546, U.S., 43,735, Louisiana, 40,057. So we're a full $10,000 above the Louisiana average of per capita income. Now, we have one statistic that I unveil 4 times a year in the press. It's called the Economic Performance Index. We take 15,000 data points. We bring it down to a single score that answers the question, how's the local economy? The Lafayette Performance Index was at 123 in June, up 7 points compared to 2013, and it is the highest the index has ever been. The previous high, if I could read this, was just a little under, or a little over 120, I think it was 121 or 122 in 2007 and a half. So you may recall that in October 2007, September 2007, August 2007, we had 2.3% unemployment, which was well below full employment, and frankly, people were struggling to find employees. I am pleased to say that we have eclipsed that mark set in 2007, and we're just a hair above that today. Now, this is a moving index, so it does adjust, and so the numbers can drop after time, but we have been above the 12-month moving average for 21 of the last 24 months, signaling a strong and steady economy. Now, what could slow us down? Obviously, the price of oil has dropped to $70-something. That's not 120. People are still making money, but it needs to kind of level off right here, right? And so that could slow us down. And the stock market has dropped, struggling right now. So when you get a 1-2 punch of low, I said, I'm on record saying the only thing that could really derail this economy, as strong as it's been, is a 1-2 punch of low oil and gas prices and a national recession. So if indeed we would go into a national recession, and we would have low oil prices, it could slow us down. We don't see that happening right now. We're watching it closely. We're talking to everybody that will talk to us. If you saw Dr. Scott last week, he doesn't see it. So, you know, all you can do is keep drilling and and count on the national economy not to do what it did a few years ago. Frankly, I have more confidence in our oil industry than I do in the national folks. So, let me move on to some more good news. You may have heard me make presentations a few times over the years where we talk about the need to increase our community and technical college presence and number of students and graduates, and that is indeed happening. It's been very gratifying to see South Louisiana Community College and the other schools grow, and it's important. But in those presentations, we talk about the fact that 60% of the positions that are created need an SLCC type degree, a certificate, or a 2-year degree, and 40% need a college degree. And our numbers in terms of output of grads is just the opposite. 60 to 70% college grads, 40% or so or less SLCC certificates and 2-year programs. Well, that's just a fact, and it's a good fact. But so we do need to grow the number of people getting those certificates and those 2-year degrees. We do need to put specialized programs, and we are, and it's really great that it was announced recently, and we'll have our first nursing class graduating soon from SLCC. We did an economic impact analysis and found that if we just filled the existing nursing positions, this was about 5 years ago when we started the discussion, in Lafayette we would add $50 million to the GDP just in open positions. And so it was amazing that we didn't have more output from the nursing schools. Well, so SLCC has joined, and they'll be creating a 2-year program for RN. And then you can take that degree and go to your bachelor's or master's if you wish. But I will tell you that we are very excited about that program, and it's just one of many. We're working on one in surveying both at UL and at SLCC. We're working on other programs, one in the oil industry and a software development program and another computer program at SLCC. But having said that, the last time Dr. Savoy heard me talking about that, said, you know, Greg, I agree that the numbers are a little upside down. But you are the guy that also makes the speech that says when you add 1% to the population of Lafayette Parish in college graduates, you add $183 million to the GDP. God bless you. And that happened in the last 5 years. We had over 2,000 college grads move here from somewhere else. Not only grow here, but move here from somewhere else. So we added at least $183 million to the GDP. And I said, you're right. He said, so don't tell people to, don't, you know, we got to increase SLCC, but you don't want me to decrease, do you? I said, no, absolutely not. You need to grow as well. So, just do your job, Greg. Okay, Doc. And so, we decided we were going to do something a little different because we do target marketing based on existing industry and based on the industry that you want to jobs you want to create, like digital media. We decided to reverse the target market process and try to figure out what companies fit our graduates. And so that's where a lot of the digital media emphasis came from. Because we're graduating, our university graduates as many people in computer science as all the rest in the state put together. Most of them are master's and PhD candidates, but they graduate a significant number of computer scientists, software development, etc. So it has been very clear for a long time, but it was obvious that we needed to teach to the test, so to speak, and recruit to our graduate level. And we are going to continue to try to attract companies to the area that hire our recent college grads. This isn't Houston. We can't absorb, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 new grads every year, but we certainly can give it a good go. And we certainly can try to absorb the higher paying ones. And so it is with great satisfaction that following up the manufacturing, and I don't know if this announcement happened before I was here last year, but Bell Helicopter announced not long ago that they were going to manufacture their new SLS Light helicopter in Lafayette. It's their entry-level helicopter. They haven't manufactured it for 30 years or so. It is $1 million helicopter, a 5-seater. So at $1 million, I'm sure most of you are going to pick one up. And that helicopter is going to be the first final assembly of an aircraft in Louisiana since World War II, right here in Lafayette. And we beat out a pretty good community in Alabama. It was down to us in this community in Alabama, and we beat them out. And that is happening here. In case you're wondering about job security, of the 120 people that are going to be hired at $55,000 a year plus benefits, in the first couple of weeks after the announcement that was made announcing the new helicopter, they placed over 240 orders. So that's $240 million of orders in about 2 weeks. That's pretty good. There are several thousand of the previous generation of the SLS out there. And so if those are loyal owners, then there's a potential market of $4 to $6 billion for this helicopter. We also had some wonderful digital media announcements. I'd like to end with that and then answer any questions. Those being, I'll give you this one first, Proficient. CEO Jeff Davis announced that Proficient, it's a St. Louis-based company, will establish a domestic delivery center in Lafayette, Louisiana, creating 245 new direct jobs averaging $60,000 a year. Most of these are entry-level jobs, averaging $60,000 a year plus benefits. Based in St. Louis, Proficient is a leading information technology and management consulting firm serving Global 2000 and other large enterprise customers throughout North America across a broad range of industries, including healthcare, financial services, retail, energy, electronics, automotive manufacturing. In addition to the direct jobs, those 245 jobs will create 248 new indirect jobs spread across all of the spectrum of retail, healthcare, manufacturing, basically from the spin-off of this wealth creation through software development. And that means 500 new jobs in Acadiana. Inquero announced a couple of months ago that they have selected Lafayette as its first agile delivery center, a high-performance technology center providing enterprise software products and services to commercial clients. The company will create 350 new direct jobs with an average salary of $64,300 plus benefits. In addition, they will create 354 new indirect jobs for a total of more than 700 new jobs in Acadiana and surrounding parishes. CGI announced before that they have selected the University of Louisiana Lafayette's Research Park for the establishment of a technology center that will create 400 new direct jobs. The technology center will become an anchor tenant of the 143-acre Research Park. Will develop complex business and IT solutions for clients seeking services from technology partners, shares a common time zone, language, and understanding of client business operations. In other words, an American fulfillment center, as opposed to where many of these centers are being established, generally in India and other areas like that. At full employment, the center will have an annual payroll of $22 million. That's $55,000 plus benefits average. And the project will result in 405 new indirect jobs, creating more than 800 permanent positions. These 3 technology companies over the next 4 years will double the digital media or technology employment that exists today in Lafayette. More than double. And so now the hard work begins. We've got to find 1,000 employees. And so we had a meeting of all the systems. UL, and they had the president, and they had the professor, and everybody in between. SLCC, the chancellor, and the professor, and everybody in between. School board sent 2 or 3 representatives, and representatives from the Thibodeau School, and from AOIT, which is at Gregg High. It's their technology program. And we've got an intern coming from the AOIT program. He's now a junior at UL, but he's been with us since he's 16 years old from Gregg High, and the kid's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. And so and people from all over coming together to figure out, first we're going to try to attract people, get people back home. They're jealous in Baton Rouge of the cooperation we get from UL in terms of sending notes to their graduates wherever they are in the world to try to get them to come home. And so we're going to do that first. Last time we did that for Schumacher, you may recall Schumacher added a couple of hundred new jobs on their way to 650 new jobs, and that we had some 4,000 people apply for positions, many of which were alone, who are ready to come home. And it's not just software developers or computer science grads, an English grad, you go through the list. It takes all kinds to create a development team. So it's an interesting process. And so we've got to bring people from the outside to satisfy the immediate demand. We have participated with LED in job fairs in Jackson and in Dallas and Shreveport, and we got one coming up in Houston. These are targeted using social analytics, Facebook, etc., to target the people, and then to invite them to the job fair. And it's working quite well. We've had very good turnout in those communities. And then the next step is we got to step up. We've got to create more professorships in computer science. We have to triple the output of the computer science program under a challenge grant. And we've got to install a software development program at SLCC. But as you can see, our economy is still doing quite well. And I've brought to you evidence, not only from companies that exist, that expand, like New Park and Schumacher, but companies that want to move here because of what we've done at UL and how we present a unified front as a community. And then we have all of the Forbes magazines and New Geography and all these entities saying you're on a roll. You're in the top 10, the top 5, the top 20 in most of these economic indicators. And then finally, year after year, things get a little bit better. I'll answer any questions you might have. I think we've got a picture of a community that's doing very well. Yes, sir.
What was that number you said earlier at the beginning of your speech? We're in the top 9% of salaries nationwide?
Per capita income.
Per capita income.
We're in the top 9% of all counties in the United States in per capita income. I think the rank was 250-something out of 3,100 plus. That's correct. Over $50,000 for every man, woman, and child. Except those incarcerated or infirm. Yes, sir.
Has the Light Center benefited from any of these IT companies coming?
Gothreaux will
Has
be...
the Lights Or has the Light Center been responsible for any of them?
Inquero will be housed at the Light Center. They have a partnership with the Light Center, and they were thoroughly impressed. Inquero and Proficient, frankly, in my opinion, LUS Fiber and the Light Center were the two biggest attractions and two biggest eye-catching things that they said, wow, a gigabit, are you serious? And, you know, we are. And the university is really the, I don't know, I can't state how much of an impact they had on these companies and their graduates, and the fact that their programs in computers and in informatics are so exceptional, ranked 20-something in the country. And so it was a combination of factors. Everybody wants to claim the credit, but to be honest with you, as a community, we blew them away. For Proficient, and I'll just say this kind of off the record, we were competing against Detroit and St. Louis, and there was no competition. For CGI, it had come down to a few places out of state that they never identified to us, in Baton Rouge and New Orleans, and there was no competition. We blew them out of the water. The only ones we don't get are the ones they don't bring here, because they got to spread it around. Because when they come and look at the combination of factors, it's just very impressive. Any other questions?
Gregg, that is a report that every community in Louisiana would love to be able to lay claim to. We're very fortunate to have those statistics actually exist here in Lafayette. Many years ago, I told my wife that you must understand something. Every business in Lafayette is in the oil business. The bakery, the grocery store, the filling station, the barber shop. If the oil business rig count goes down, their business falls off. Rig count goes up, their business goes up. We have three great opportunities here in Lafayette. We have the university, creates tremendous employment potential and attraction for Lafayette. And we have the health industry that is becoming more and more impressive here in Lafayette. And then of course we have the oil industry. Now there probably out there is some other industry that is maybe beginning to build up. And I would like for Gregg to tell us, is there a number 4 industry that's out there, Gregg?
So the industry currently are in essence oil and gas, medical, and what I would call entertainment. And it's kind of strange, but I combine hospitality and retail, because I know as well as you do that 40% of our retail sales comes from somewhere else. And so if this wasn't an entertaining place or a destination for retail, then we would definitely be behind, you know, in that area. And we have a lot of jobs that are created there. The management jobs are good jobs, and the other jobs, and I love to walk into a McDonald's or a place like that and see college kids working and high school kids working, right? Because if you go into sort of an unhealthy community and you see everybody behind the counter, drive down the road. You see everybody behind the counter who's an adult in a fast food place, that's a bad scene. That's not good. And so to see the managers, you know, and all that. So entertainment, yes. Now, we're working on a couple of things. We would like to be, and we are very close to being, the Emergency Medicine Training Center of the United States. The Acadian Ambulances National EMS Academy combined with SLCC's program and a couple of other smaller companies are really leading the way. As you know, we'd like to get a medical school here, and there's a significant effort being mounted to do that. We already, because of Lafayette General's significant growth, we already have the final couple of years of med school with about 80 interns, or what's the word, residents in each year. That used to be just 10 or 12. And so the impact of having 80 is phenomenal. If we can start a medical school with 40 students a year, we would quickly have a 200-seat medical school, and we could finish up, along with Schumacher Group, the number 3, and well, I won't go there, but let's just say the current healthcare situation nationally is posing uncertainty and some problems. And I hope that gets fixed or cleared up, because that uncertainty leads to some of our bigger companies like Schumacher and others having to deal with that, right? And that's all I'll say at this point. But the bottom line is, we are very close to being the Emergency Medicine Training Center of the United States. We also are interested in re-entering, you saw the manufacturing growth, we're interested in re-entering the manufacturing sector from a particular, from advanced manufacturing, and then recapturing onshoring from China. People are leaving China, and they're making toasters and things like that, again, in the United States. Our major competition is going to be Mexico for that market. So we want to grow manufacturing like the old days again, because it's a wealth creation industry, but we're going to have to beat out, some people to do that. Those are future industries. I think they're already pretty significant. I think if you add education together, you would find it to be a major industry, private and public education, especially if we could lay claim to the title of Emergency Medicine Training Center in the United States. Then the digital media area, when we double our workforce, and we're over, we're 1,200, 1,500 direct digital media company employees, and then all the other people that are employed in technology and other areas, particularly in the oil and gas industry, with the technology associated with the oil and gas industry. I think that we will be, our next big industry coming up is the technology business, or IT, or intellectual property, or digital media, whatever name you want to put on it.
Do you have one more question? I know you got to be out.
I'll do one more.
One more question. He has to be someplace else. We've got the gentleman up here. Go ahead. Is that a long question or a short one? Oh, excuse me.
Do you really need to know? You've accomplished a lot, Gregg. Congratulations. Where is University of Central Arkansas?
It's in Conway, Arkansas.
I thought I knew them all. I hadn't heard of that one. The only thing I'm concerned with about your printout here is that your unemployment figures seem to be unrealistic. They don't include the old, the blacks, people who have just quit. They're going by strict regulations. It makes it look good, looks wonderful, but it's not inclusive. We're a great culture down here, great industry, but there's stratification between the upper level and then the blue-collar workers. We have a lot of gentrification down here, and they're being ignored. Thank you.
Is that a question?
Statement.
Okay, I'll make a different statement. There's no doubt that unemployment figures are based on people that apply for unemployment benefits, et cetera, but it compares apples to apples, and that's the key. So in other words, if people who have given up on the workforce are not included here, they're not included in California, they're not included somewhere else, not included in Detroit. And so therefore, the numbers are realistic. It's kind of like counting permits. Right now, all we can count is MetroVision permits. Metro code permits. That means that we don't have any information on permits, or there's no permitting to a certain extent in some of the unincorporated or the small towns. And so we have to kind of go by home sales and things like that, new home sales. But it compares apples to apples in so many ways.
I think our unemployment rate is closer to 11 or 13%.
Well, there are, I know the numbers, and You know, there are about 20, and I'll have to, just because I bragged, I'm going to have to go back and look at my notes, but there are about 20% of the population that lives very poorly, under the poverty level. Now, I can show you a cliff chart that shows what it would take to bring those people out of the poverty level. And this is not a unique Lafayette problem. And so once again, I'll go ahead and finish explaining it, but once again, you are comparing apples to apples when you compare us against other counties. So you can't create a problem that doesn't exist. It exists for everybody. 20% of the population is virtually disenfranchised. But we did a cliff chart. In order to get those people to work above the level of government benefits, I don't set policy, I just work what exists. We'd have to create for people that are right now sitting at home. So you can guess their education level, their skill level, and their ability to move into the workforce. They would have to make $18 an hour. Well, there are no jobs for people with absolutely no skills that make $18 an hour. Because if you make minimum wage, you lose a benefit. You're actually making $4 an hour. If you make $12 an hour, you lose another benefit. I think it's the food stamps. And you drop down to $7 an hour effective income. Those people, that 20% of the population that choose to live off of those benefits have chosen to do that apparently multiple generations. And I don't know how we're going to fix that. Because $18 an hour jobs don't grow on trees. And there are people that are not in that category that are qualified for those jobs and will take them.
But you're promoting a lie by showing statistics like 4.9% unemployment, stuff like that.
The unemployment rate, according to the Louisiana Workforce Commission, is 4.9%.
But they've manipulated the numbers. The process, chopped them down, so to speak.
Thank you. I understand. It's apples to apples. That's all I'm saying. She has a question. I'll do it. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Mike has a question. Who makes the speech?
Okay. My name is Patty Carter, and I have a 2-point question. If our sales taxes are increasing, what was the percentage that you said?
4.7, I think, this year so far.
The different projects like the airport tax, any other tax that would be promoted, since we're increasing so greatly in our sales tax revenues, would you ever see a justification for an additional tax? And the second question I had, I noticed you were on the Central Park Committee.
Yes.
When that was promoted, the public was told that no tax money would be used, correct? Just private donations. I was given an email from Joel Robideau's office that in the last legislative session, he appropriated $10 million of taxpayer money for the Central Park project. Now that's public taxpayer money. My husband's a veteran, he pays taxes. They asked the veterans to raise additional money on their own to have their own monument there, and they've already paid taxes. They were insulted, some of them, that they were asked to promote more money. And when they were told that no taxpayer money would be used, but $10 million shows up in the last legislative session for Central Park.
Okay. First question was...
What's that?
Okay, so let's see. What was the first question, Penny? I'm not going to take a political stance on whether we need sales taxes or anything like that. I'll tell you that, yeah, the airport does not collect sales taxes today. The airport collects, I guess, a property tax, a millage, and that's their funding. So this project is promoted to be a 8-month sales tax to build a new terminal, to create a third of the cost of building a new terminal. And it's going to be laid out to the people, and they can choose. So, you know, our sales taxes have grown tremendously, and our community has grown tremendously. And, you know, but they have property tax, so they don't grow. Their tax base hasn't grown, if that's the base of your question.
Well, property taxes were reevaluated and people's property taxes went up.
Well, I don't think it generated $30 million in 8 months, which is what they're trying to come up with to build this new thing. And I mean, they say they need it, this new terminal. So people can vote for it or vote against it. That's the beauty of the system. The horse farm, the Central Park, I'm the chairman of the Planning Design Construction Committee. And what we've been focusing on is trying to come up with a world-class design. It was reported that Joel has put some money into capital outlay. I think that anybody that doesn't want the state to give money to the horse farm should let that be known, that you want to send it somewhere else, because that's what you're doing.
But that's not what it was promoted for.
I understand. I'm in the business of trying to help them raise private money. I haven't participated in a legislative process. I don't do that. And so I can't really pass judgment. I'm just saying that they chose to do it. Somebody chose to do it. And it is, there's no doubt it's taxpayer money. And you know, I understand what you're saying. I've got to go. Okay.
He's the guy that does the film. Put the words in your mouth. Can you do a quick one?
Yeah.
Because he's
I won't take up too much time. I used to teach at the Caring Crow High School, AOIT Academy.
Oh, okay.
And one thing I've noticed, of course, is in the field of education, the General Administration and the State Board of Education got rid of the 1-hour requirement for high school high school students to have a course in computer science. Now, at the AOIT Academy, of course, they offered like 34 different courses. They're fine, and they got another school going for that here in this parish, so we're good. But does your group, or does any group, try to get out there and promote, you know, to get that requirement back? Is there anybody trying to put back the 1 or 2 credit responsibility?
Yes, I mean, I'm not up on that, but there are the Workforce Commission. We've got a Director of Workforce Development, Ryan LaGrange, works very close with the school board, the Workforce Commission. They do the Revenue Forecasting Conference and the Jobs Forecasting Conference, and we try very diligently. There's a program called Jumpstart that is supposed to be about, vocational training, and I think highly needed vocational training, including digital media jobs. We are hoping that we can get some of that funding to teach digital media, at least for the length of that program. I will tell you that we are fighting, and this is where I do get involved because it's on the ground in economic development, that we're fighting a few legislators who wish to take some of the Jumpstart money and use it for cosmetology. Now, I have nothing against cosmetology. It's just that it pays $11,000 and $18,000 for the 2 basic positions that come out of cosmetology training, and we're trying to get, technical positions that are paying $60,000 filled, and we need to create as many as we can. So, yeah, we fight that battle on a daily basis. And when they remove those kinds of things, it's upsetting. You don't see me at the school board. We try to do it through the Workforce Commission, through the Department of Economic Development, because once again, I try not to be involved in the political process, but we do our best to get the funding where it needs to go.
Jackie, this guy's late.
I'm late now.
He is
I'm an next
really.
meeting.
But anyhow, I think a round of applause is certainly. We can get you better next time.
Yes.
You wanted to say something? We have our filmmaker here to say.
If we could just have your attention for one more brief announcement. I just want to let everybody know that we have a YouTube channel, and I'm starting to put the films that, that we can make here, the videos we make here, on YouTube. So, in case you're not used to using it, you go to youtube.com. At the top of the page, there's going to be a little search bar. Put in "Concerned Citizens for a Good Government" with the spaces. Hit enter, and it'll take you to our channel. Right now, we've only got 2 videos up. One is Harold Scheffler's, and the other one is the debate between Susan Thiel and Charlie Fitzgerald. But this one will be on in about a day or 2, and we'll have another one up there besides that coming up. So, thanks.
That's very, very important. Thanks a lot, Ed. We appreciate all that you're doing there, because getting good information. So anyhow, if there's not any questions, we appreciate everyone being here with us, and get home and do a little bit of politicking for some of you that are here tonight. And we appreciate y'all coming over, but the meeting stands adjourned.